Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new podcast called No, it's not literally anything. It's anything.
You already messed the name up, and it's the first episode. Oh dear.
That's a good introduction.
I think that should be the start, lads. I think that should be the start.
So yeah, welcome to Anything Literally. This is a podcast that we decided to make in lockdown because we were bored and we're not very good at committing to a topic. So each episode is going to be a different topic because, yeah, why not? So I am Harry. This was my idea. It was a terrible idea, really. I don't even know what I'm doing most of the time. And these are the other two, if you want to introduce yourself.
So I'm Ben. You might know me from Ben Collins Media, but basically do video around here. Dan?
Hello, I'm Dan. You can find me under the @ of PXYRT on pretty much all social medias. I sometimes work freelance for Ben, some of the time.
Some of the time. And Harry does that as well, occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. Most of the time, sitting looking at charts all day with finance.
Financial analyst.
You do the numbers of the world.
Yeah.
Okay, so first topic. Why is Dan's name at PXYRT?
This is the ultimate question of life. Screw what is the meaning of life. Why am I called PXYRT?
I've always wondered that, actually.
So have I. According to Ben, there's not many 5-letter
It's
@s
not.
anymore on Instagram, so apparently it's quite rare at this point.
So was it like to prove him wrong? You wanted one?
No, because I made it back in
Yes, he made that
2018.
before he knew me.
Yeah, I've had it for ages. I wanted something short and unique that kind of looked like a word but wasn't. So PXYRT is what came out of that.
So it has literally no meaning, or
It has no meaning. It just looks quite nice. Is the general gist of it.
Right. Because I always forget the order of the letters for you. So if I'm ever looking for your social media account, I always have to like sit there for a moment and go, shit, what was it?
This is a minor problem with the name, and it's not something I'm going to fix at this point.
You made it, well, you said 2018, so you might as well just stick with it now.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, no, I like Ben Collins Media. Pretty simple to find. I'd love Ben Collins, but I don't think that's ever going to happen anytime soon with the racing driver situation.
So someone has my username as well. It's very depressing. So it's Harry Shelton instead of Harry Shelton.
You never know. Maybe when we're big enough, Instagram will give it to us, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No, I have maybe allegedly sometimes might have reported the other account saying it's a spam account trying to get him deleted so I can get the username. Totally not anything like that.
You should try that with the actual Ben Collins on Instagram and see what happens.
No, the Ben Collins racing driver doesn't have the @Ben Collins username. Yeah.
Who does?
Oh,
Some rando with like 200 followers. He doesn't post.
So yeah, you basically just report him for spam and then go, right, I want that username, thank you
We're
very
not
much.
telling anybody to do that, just to be clear.
No.
It's not a
You should not
recommendation.
falsely report anyone on the internet, because that's a bad thing to do.
Yes.
But if you want that,
But
if you want that kind of handle, then
go for
I'm
it.
not saying you should, but you could.
Yeah, you could.
Yes.
Okay, so one of our many interests in this friend group, as I should say, is cameras. We film, we make videos, that's what we do. I do that sort of for a living. I also study that at uni. Dan studies that at A-level, and Harry does something to do with media. Not sure.
I did an apprenticeship in digital production. I got a pass, and I was like, how did I not get a distinction? Because like the course itself was unsurprisingly very easy, and I felt like I did over and beyond. But because my final project, it was they asked you basically, they gave you a brief and you had to design what was it? It was an advert type thing for this, give a chair. It was like a charity dinner thing for old people. And I had a crazy ambitious idea that I only had £20,000 on the budget. I wanted to give £10,000 as a donation to like the mental health people, like the whole charity thing, to bring attention to this. And apparently that was too ambitious and unlikely to actually work, that I didn't get any higher than a pass because of that.
That's very mean of them.
Yeah, I thought that was a brilliant idea. We were going to go on BBC Breakfast with someone from the mental health charity, whatever, I think it was Mind I selected, and talk about it and get promotion for this Give a Chair. I was like, oh, that's an amazing idea. And they're like, nope, it was a terrible idea. It's too ambitious.
Don't know.
At least you passed.
That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
At least you passed. At the end of the day.
Yeah, at least the pass. I mean, if I had failed, I would have well, come on, really. I would have cried a little bit inside.
Yeah, failing a BTEC is kind of like the low point in life. That's when you know you've hit rock bottom if you fail a BTEC.
No offense to
I
anybody
haven't done
that
that
has. No offense to anybody that has failed a BTEC.
No. But if you do fail a BTEC, you might want to find a way to...
Dan, okay, stop that there. Okay, moving on.
Moving on over that.
So as I was saying, we have a focus in video, if that makes sense. We're all interested in the video industry to some description. A lot of the hours we have conversations outside of this medium is talking about equipment and what we do and what jobs we've got coming up.
I mean, be a 2 a.m. text.
I mean, we were literally just talking about the new Sony camera for like half an hour before actually clicking record.
Yeah.
The new Sony A1, if anyone wants to donate one.
Yeah, if anyone wants to send us over one, I would be quite appreciative of that.
Sony UK, hit us up.
Yeah. We'll gladly take that sponsorship.
So we did think the whole pricing thing is a bit over the top, though, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Because I don't know if anyone's ever seen the pricing yet. Obviously, the camera just got announced, and this podcast will probably go very quickly afterwards. So, according to people, it's like $6,500 in America, but at the same time, it's £6,500 in the UK to buy. So it's like nearly $2,000 more to buy in the UK. So, what's the point of buying in the UK? You could just buy it in the US, pay the shipping fee. That would be cheaper, and then send it over to yourself and save a ton of money.
Or, instead of buying a brand new Sony camera, you could buy a car with that kind of money.
Yeah,
$6,000.
You could buy yourself, like what, $6,500. That would nearly buy you a brand new VW up.
Yeah.
How much do they go for anyway? Just going to search Google real quick.
Harry's going to go car shopping.
I'm going to go car shopping while we talk about cameras.
Yeah. It is a genuine question that people often ask.
Oh, okay.
Me and Ben.
They're a bit more expensive than I thought they were. The lowest model, brand new, is £13,105.
But
for an up.
Yeah, that's brand new. Remember, I would argue though a camera, I don't know if to that caliper is for professionals and they're the only people that are going to buy it, so doesn't really matter.
I mean.
Nice.
Shooting at the same speed that video films in, I'd say a professional wants that.
Yes. Yeah, let's be honest, it's for like people that are taking photos of the Olympics or doing photography for a billboard or whatever.
Well, Dan, you said that the camera was going to be announced at the after the Olympics, didn't you?
So most main camera manufacturers will release their high-end cameras after the Olympics have occurred. Obviously, because of COVID, there were no Olympics last year. Hence why there was a bit of an oddball set of cameras released from Canon, Sony and Nikon.
Yeah.
So this is meant to be the professional Olympics use this to shoot everything kind of camera.
The whole coronavirus situation has screwed up so many industries and so many people that at the end of the day they had to announce it. So here it is.
It is. The brand new A1.
Replacing the old A9. It'll be interesting to see if they do another A9 or not.
No, I don't think they will. I think it'll be all this new gen Sony.
To be honest, I don't actually know anyone who's actually bought an A9 over it. Like, I know many people who've bought an A7, but I don't know anyone who's bought an A9.
I was looking at buying an A9.
They're just so expensive. That's the problem. Like,
okay, so Dan is the only person I know who almost bought an A9.
Like, at the end of the day, like, I don't know, this is talking about myself here. I do video, so I don't need a high-end DSLR or mirrorless camera.
You just need a good filming camera.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that was a mistake I made in the early days of Ben Collins Media and the whole filming thing, is DSLRs and mirrorless cameras are good to get you started, but they do nowhere near the bitrate and the quality of like a professional video camera that's designed for cinema, for video. It's just two different levels. But if you're a professional photographer, the A9 makes sense. Like Dan, you might know him, the guy who's just become the US
US
White
press
House,
photographer.
press photographer. He shoots Sony. He'll probably Sony will probably send him the new A1.
Oh yeah, I mean, there'll probably be photos of him using that camera at the White House, so it makes sense to give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll probably get all the White House press photographers on the A1. So it
Or
sort
the
of
A9,
makes sense. Yeah.
He was
Sony
shooting
will love him.
A9. I think he was shooting A9 for the whole of the recent elections.
Yeah, I think he
Press tour
was
for that.
for the campaign.
Very nice Sony shooter. I've forgotten his name.
I follow him on
Hi.
Instagram. Yeah, highly recommend. Hold on, I'll just find it.
You
He's
find
gonna-
it.
So I've done car shopping. He's now doing Instagram searching.
Yeah, it's a successful podcast.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So, in terms of cameras that we shoot on currently, instead of dreaming about if we got given an A1,
If we had a budget, we could spend lots of money on.
yeah, what we currently shoot on, Ben shoots on an A7 III,
Yep.
I think. Yep. I shoot on an A7R2. Harry shoots on an A7R2 and a nickel.
Well. There's a slight difference in that one. The A7 is actually from work. I just happen to borrow it every now and again.
Okay, going back to the press photographer, his name is Adam Schlotz. I don't know how you say his second name, but if you just Google White House chief photographer, you'll find him.
Like that A7. So my boss had said that if I ever wanted to use the camera, I could just borrow it and give it back as soon as I finished with it, basically, because it wasn't getting used at the time of when we had it. But we then hired someone to start doing. It's kind of like a podcast but with video, and it was for another company that my boss was working on, and I didn't realise that he was starting so soon. I assumed he would have started a little bit later. I wasn't told when he was starting, basically. And I borrowed both the cameras. There was two of them. I borrowed both of them. And this was when I went up to the Lake District. And it was... what was it? It was... Friday? No, it was a Monday, maybe? It was, start of the week. So, it was a Monday. And I'm suddenly getting a call at, 8 a.m. in the morning. And given the fact that we had just driven up to the Lake District and we left about 11 in the night, so we got there 5 a.m. or something like that, I was pretty tired at this point in time. And he would phone me up going, "Harry, where are the cameras?" I'm like, "Oh, they're on the other side of the country, mate." I didn't realise he was joining, so I took them.
You got some sick photos on that trip. Looks really nice.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so luckily he wasn't too fast. Oh, yeah, that's fine, yeah. I'm sure inside he wanted to strangle me, maybe, but I don't know.
Well, live and learn.
Yeah, tell me before I take the cameras.
So,
You were going to say that?
I was going to say something. I was going to move on to the next topic.
Wait, we were talking about what cameras we shoot on. So,
No.
as you can tell, we're a bit of Sony fanboys, but I have been looking at the move to Blackmagic. Just because cinema.
We were talking about it earlier, weren't we?
Yeah.
The pricing of it all.
Yeah, it's expensive, but could be worth it. It's just that different grade between photo, cameras that do both photo and video, and then just video cameras. So, moving up that scale. But on to the next topic.
So one of the things that we thought would be an interesting thing to talk about is hiding SD cards or storage things for cameras when you get caught in a place you shouldn't be, or taking a photo you shouldn't be doing of.
Not that
Obviously,
that's
it's
ever
still
happened.
Alleged stuff. None of this,
hypothetical.
hypothetical stuff. What you can do if you get caught when you shouldn't be doing something. So one time I had allegedly I was taking a photo. So I quite enjoy architectural photo, and I was in Canary Wharf in London. Now I don't know if anyone really knows about how it actually works, but it's actually I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, it's technically all private land.
I'm not sure, to be honest.
And the security guards down there are a little bit. They don't really like you taking the photos that much. And there was one time I was taking a photo. Which building was it? I want to
One of
say
the
it was
tool
JP
ones.
Morgan. It was a tool one, yeah. I want to say it was JP Morgan. I can't remember. But anyway, I was taking a photo and it pretty much had the entrance in it. I was trying to get like well, I think it was like a shot down it, and you could see the entrance building and all the ones down the side of it as well. But anyway, the security guard apparently didn't like this very much. Allegedly didn't like this stuff. And he then basically came up to me and said that I wasn't allowed to take the photo and that he would need to confiscate the SD card. And at this point in time, I'd already kind of knew that something like this might happen in Canary Wharf because other people had said it happened to them. So underneath my watch, I had a fake SD card stored there, like just an adapter.
Okay.
With like one of those tiny mini micro SD cards that
the
literally
one
have
that's
like nothing
come
on it.
free with micro SD cards.
Yeah, basically. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, sure. I wasn't going to argue with him. I couldn't be asked for that. So basically, as I was giving him the camera, I quickly pulled it out of my finger, allegedly, and swapped the SD card and hid the actual SD card in my palm as I handed him the other one. He didn't actually check it. He never asked to see any of the photos. He just took the SD card and said, "Thank you for your cooperation," and walked away. I was like, wow, that was way too easy. And I had the photo. I'm pretty sure the photo is still on my drive.
See, you can...
idea.
Allegedly.
So you could just
Allegedly.
You could argue that SD card is expensive. Like some types of SD cards are really pricey. Like you're talking 150 quid for an SD card. At that point, I wouldn't be happy to hand my card over. But
No.
Especially if you've done like a whole day of shooting. You're on a 128 gig card. You've taken about 1,000 photos. I'm just going to give you this SD card for that one photo you want to delete off of it.
yeah, it's a very controversial situation. But
Yeah, luckily this SD card that I had in there wasn't actually expensive. It was just a...
yeah.
It was like a £30 SanDisk. So even if he had taken the real one, I would have been really pissed off, obviously, because he'd taken my SD card, all my photos. But at the same point in time, it's probably cheaper and easier than trying to argue with this guy.
Yeah, 100%.
But if it was like a proper SD card that cost you hundreds, I would be like, nah.
Yeah. I'll just delete the photos in front of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, stuff like that happens. There's loads of stories about it online, especially in the world of video and one-take video. I know a couple of my friends, I won't name names, were shooting one-takes up in Manchester or Birmingham, I think. And I know you get very, because they were going down high streets and stuff, in the, late at night, I think, so it was pretty quiet. But I know they had some issues with security about why they were filming and stuff. It's totally legal to film because they were filming for some brand. I don't know who it was, but I know you get that question a lot. If you should be filming there, you just need to have. If it's like a proper work gig, you need to have the proof to do it. If you're doing it for fun, obviously it's your fault for breaking the rule or whatever. You just have to deal with it. But if it's for work, you should always have a permit, really. Especially for video.
You nearly had what? Sorry?
I nearly had a run-in where I do explorers, which is scouting. We every year do a photo walk around London, and we were getting a photo. Basically, I was teaching the others how to take photos because some of them were using iPhones, and it was upsetting me at that point. So we were all stood in a line taking photos of Tower Bridge by the Christmas market that's normally by Tower Bridge. That is private land and you need a permit to shoot there if you're shooting professionally.
Yeah.
But if you're shooting for yourself, as in it's just going to go on Instagram and you're going to share it with your family, you're allowed to take photos there. I did get stopped by security twice whilst taking the photos.
Just because you had a proper camera on you?
Yeah, so I had my big A7 on me, but I wasn't using it for any monetary purpose. I was just going to post the photos on Instagram later. So
you could have just said that you were a try-hard influencer. They would have let you go.
It's like
you're an influencer.
It's like those.
But then that's a job though.
Yeah, it's like the times we're in. So after a gig, for the listeners at home. So after most music videos, we often go to McDonald's.
Of course.
Oh god, yeah.
We never like to leave any of the kit in the car, so we usually take like the massive camera rig into McDonald's. It's the looks you get in there are just amusing at times.
See, it's funny because any time we've done that and we brought the cameras into it, and you get all the weird looks, but they never actually tell you like, oh, you can't have that in here or anything.
Well, I think it's
any time I've walked into like Tesco's or something. Allegedly, I've walked into Tesco's, I should say, and I've got my camera on me.
Walked into Tesco's.
I've got my camera on me. It's just a normal photo camera. It's not a proper filming rig, right? And always, a lady will come up to me and go, "You can't be filming in here. Can you put that camera away?" I was like, "Well, I can't. I haven't got a bag on me for starters, so I couldn't put it away." I'm like, "I'm also not filming anything."
See, this never happens. So, like me and Joel, who's a good mate of ours, we shoot quite a lot. He has a massive video camera, a Blackmagic camera, and we constantly take it into Asda where he lives to get food for the shoot because we don't like leaving it in the car. It's good amount of money in that camera. So we always carry it around. Never had that issue. I think we close the matte box and stuff to make it obvious we're not filming. I think that probably
maybe
helps.
it's because like when you've got a big rig like that, they expect it to be on your shoulder, but like a small camera, they're like, oh, it could be secretly filming quite easily.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if you got to shut the matte bot as well, it's just like, oh yeah, it's obviously can't be filming.
It's like that time we went into Pizza Express in Brighton. After the Molly McKenna video.
Oh, we looked like idiots.
We had all of the kit on us, and it was like, I felt sorry for the Pizza Express,
the most interesting people there, I would say.
But there was a good group of us, so Pizza Express didn't mind. We were making a good amount of purchases with them, so
they didn't even question the cameras actually.
No, I don't think they did.
No.
But yeah, no, that was a good shoot. It's funny stories.
Freezing
like
cold.
Yeah.
Freezing cold.
God, it was frozen.
Yeah, it was good, like 3 degrees. So on the windy beach. So,
Yeah.
Isn't that where I nearly left the Bluetooth speaker on like the other end of the beach?
yeah, you left it on the pier.
Yes, you did.
It wasn't a Bose
cold.
sound link or anything, was it?
It was
Oh,
so
God.
cold that day that when we got to Pizza Express, I said I need to go to the toilet, so I went there. I didn't actually need to. All I wanted to do was run my hand under hot water to warm them back up because they were so cold.
The video turned out good though. People liked it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's a good music video.
Okay, on to the next topic. So it sort of links to our earlier topic about like why we invest in cameras and why people do, but different ways.
Or why
to...
I borrow from the company I work for.
It's about different ways to make money with cameras. So, Harry, was your idea of a topic? Do you want to?
Yeah, it was. There's different ways to make money with a camera. Well, I guess there's the most obvious ways. You can take photos and sell them. That is the most obvious way of doing it.
Yeah.
But one way that the whole taking the photo and selling it, I always found to be a little bit more tricky. So, if like selling a photo is generally like an easy idea, isn't it? It's take a good photo, people want to buy it. However, actually, that middle person of actually getting people to buy it seems to be much harder because Unsplash and Shutterstock. So Unsplash, for anyone who doesn't know, is the biggest free image sourcing
I think so.
website in the world. So basically, photographers can upload their content, and you can download a licensed image, so you can use it for whatever you want for free. It's completely free. And Shutterstock, on the other hand, is obviously one you have to pay for images, and the photographers make a commission on it, basically.
And most people will know Shutterstock from Google Images and searching an image, and then it has the Shutterstock logo over the top. That's because you haven't paid for the rights.
Yeah. So I signed up for Shutterstock a while ago. This is before Unsplash, and I didn't even know what Unsplash was before this. And I signed up, I uploaded a bunch of photos, and I wasn't very... Obviously, Shutterstock is a much more of a stock photo. You can imagine what a stock photo is. It's very much that. Unsplash is, I feel, more photo-like.
Yeah.
Like more normal photos. And obviously, I was not a stock photographer, still not a stock photographer, so I had nothing really that matched it, and I also didn't have release forms for anyone, so any photos with people in it were instantly out of the question because they just didn't let them on.
Yeah.
And there was a couple other photos they didn't let on because they didn't think it was sharp enough or in focus, even though it was like one of those fancy bokeh photos.
But sorry to interrupt, but the point of the people makes sense if you're looking at it, because you're selling a photo, aren't you? So you're selling the rights for people to use that picture.
And you're making money off it as well.
Yeah, so that's why you need the photo release, where Unsplash will allow that because of you're in a public place, providing you're following their terms and conditions. You're in a public place, it's allowed, it's okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, and you're not making money off it either,
Yeah.
so there's no commercial benefit to it.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I've been on Shutterstock, it must be a few years now, and I looked at it the other day to see if I've made any money on it, and of all the photos, I think I've uploaded like 80 photos to it. I have made a whopping $3.
That's some big money right there.
I can't even take the money out because you need like $35 minimum to do a payout. So it's just going to sit there. I'm going to be like maybe 80 at this rate. Oh, I finally made the $35.
It's like the YouTube studio like advertising money. It's like we've made on Ben Collins Media. We've made I think it's $5, which is quite a lot for like a small channel that doesn't have any subs. This is before they changed their terms and conditions, so you have to have 1,000 subs now to claim the money. But this was before that. We had like I think we've got $5 in the account, but we can't claim it because you have to have a minimum payment. To be fair, we don't need it, so it's fine.
To be fair, like the whole monetization rules, I'm just looking them up now. Like there was one YouTuber who made a good point to them that. So what was it? So the channels need 4,000 hours of annual viewing time and over 1,000 subscribers. And this YouTuber who made a video about this when it got announced, I can't remember who did it now. He was saying that before he even reached that sort of levels of like he had 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours. Before that, he would make basically no money at all, and there was no real point for him to be making money at that point because the money he did make was minuscule.
Yeah.
So like $5, like you were saying, that's nothing really in reality. Whereas once you finally get past that threshold, you're going to be, oh, okay, viewers are actually coming in. I actually can make proper money now.
Yeah, exactly. It's having that determination to stick with YouTube for long enough to get that duration without making any money. So you have to be willing to put the time and effort in.
Yeah, and it's not easy nowadays either. Unless you suddenly get like super viral somehow, or you're really lucky, like you find a niche market you can get into of it.
Yeah.
Most of it's so saturated nowadays; it's so difficult.
Yeah, exactly. We can't. Just to be clear, none of us have reached that margin, so we're not really talking on experience. But just from what we've heard,
secretly, I'm PewDiePie. Just putting that out there now.
Yeah, we've worked with some people who have passed that threshold, who have talked to this about us, but about that with us. But yeah, no,
big words.
It's an
big words coming from Ben there.
It's an interesting conversation to have for sure.
So I guess the way that Ben tends to make money from doing work is freelance work.
Oh yeah,
tends to be the main
100%.
way.
So we do freelance video, which involves shooting all sorts of videos, music videos, corporate videos. Trying to think of what else. Recently virtual events. Recently virtual experiences because events aren't happening.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. But that's how. Aside, because I do uni full time, so it's on the side we do that. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. I mean, freelancing is pretty much the main way most people make money in that sort of world.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Like back in school, primary school, there was one student there whose father worked on films. He used to work, I don't know if he still does it, but he was a cameraman. He worked at Disney, Warner Brothers, all that sort of stuff, but he was always freelancing. He never had a proper employee contract with them. It was always freelance. But he worked on these massive movies that were like, oh my god, how the hell did you get that?
Yeah, that's the.
But then I saw his work. I was like, oh, that's how you got it.
Yeah, that's the freelance world. You have a good showreel, people employ you, and you get to know people who pass you on, and you get to know more people. They get you more work, and so on and so on. But I feel for freelancers at the moment, especially in the movie world, because freelancers like us haven't had an issue with COVID. We've still got stuff coming in.
But others don't.
All my mates have work coming in, but the people who shoot movies and TV and broadcasts that have stopped because of it, they're the ones suffering.
And only like a few TV shows and movies are getting shot now, so
yeah, exactly.
And they've got to reduce people as well.
And everybody that goes along with them, all the hair people, the makeup people, the prop people, all because they're all freelance as well. They're just in a different space to what we are.
Of course.
I feel for them. And obviously all the live event people that would normally be running Glastonbury, and that's just being cancelled, and people that
they cancelled this year's one as well, didn't they?
Yeah, because they don't have a solid job, they won't be making any money. People need to realise that. That's why, in my opinion, more help is needed for the freelance world. But that's a whole nother longer conversation.
That's something you could probably write an EPQ on, or something similar.
Yeah, Dan.
That is a whole other episode to talk about that stuff.
Yeah, maybe at one point we'll get a guest on or something who can go into details about that industry.
We'll go get a politician, right?
Yeah, maybe one day.
The
get
Bank of
Bojo
England
on
governor.
the podcast.
Okay, so do we want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah.
Stories about camera stuff going wrong.
Oh yeah, this is an interesting conversation. I'll get this started then.
All right.
So we've all had problems with our cameras over the years, sometimes in the worst possible timing and situation.
Always the worst possible timing.
Yeah. So I'll give an example. I was shooting Soul Survivor Festival, which is a festival for 20,000 young people. It's run by the church and some churches in Watford. And I was on that job shooting a video for them for 2 weeks at their event. And my Sony A7 Mark III camera, which was 3 weeks old at the time, shutter decided to completely close and not open. So
very helpful.
Yeah, recording video was almost impossible for a couple of days because the shutter dropped and therefore light couldn't get into the lens, which couldn't obviously record. Luckily, I was shooting with 5 other Sony shooters, so we had enough Sony cameras. I just borrowed somebody else's.
So they couldn't shoot for 2 days.
No, we took it in turns. It was very helpful, but it made me realise everybody should carry a B camera. That's
basically, yeah.
Yeah, that was a
there
bad
was
time.
It's not exactly when a camera's gone wrong, more of my forgetfulness. So back in 2018, I did the NCS program.
Oh yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, it's the National Citizens Service or something.
Yeah,
basically, it's like a 4-week program you do
young
when you leave
people.
school. Yeah, and the second week you go off to a university for the week, and I was basically filming the entire thing from week 1 to week 4. And week 1 went really well, but then week 2, you go home for the weekend. I repacked, but then, like an idiot, I forgot to bring my camera charger.
Oh.
So I'm stuck with only 2 batteries because I also forgot to bring the 2 other batteries that was in the charger. So I had 2 batteries, and I had a week to film. I had a whole week to film basically and take photos of. And I don't know how I managed it, but somehow I managed to make the 2 batteries last the entire week and not die. And I managed to pretty much get everything I wanted. There was a few things I wish I would have got. I ended up filming some stuff on my phone out of worry that the battery would die.
But no,
that's
happened to me before with SD cards. I've gone to a shoot in London, forgotten to pack the SD card case. Had a couple of SD cards, but because I always keep reserves. But to be safe, I Amazon Primed some SD cards to their location.
I wanted to do that. But the only downside was because I didn't obviously know the code or anything I needed for the university block. I didn't know any of that. I was like, okay, I'll just do an Amazon locker. And then when I asked the person in charge if I could have permission to go down to it, because it was a little bit of a distance away.
Yeah.
She was like, no. I was like, oh.
To be clear, this is like a youth like trip experience for anybody that doesn't know what NCS is.
Yeah.
So you're young while you're doing this, hence why they won't let you out and about.
No, they didn't just let me out and about, and they like to keep tabs on you and know where you are.
For safety reasons.
Yeah. What's safety?
Ben's had the problem with batteries, hasn't he? So when lockdown started to ease back last summer, we decided to go on a walk to a bridge in Sussex that everyone seems to take photos at.
Oh yeah, that's the one with the train, isn't it? The
yeah,
viaduct.
the one with the train. It's the River Ouse Viaduct.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Ben decides to leave the house without any batteries at all.
Yeah,
Not
that
even in
was
the
my-
camera.
Not even in the camera. There was nothing.
This is at the point where my second battery charger had broken. So I was always used to having one mounted on my desk and one in my camera bag. So the one in the camera bag was broken. So I left the camera batteries charging in the one on my desk. Yeah, that didn't go well. Luckily, it wasn't a professional shoot. To be clear, if for a paid shoot, I would have been double checked and we would have brought a lot more kit, so I wouldn't have missed them. But for
Just in
this,
case anyone's listening, is that for?
yeah, but for this like just walk we did, I'd forgotten. But luckily Dan has a Sony camera. So
Yeah, I had my A7, and you decided to plug your A7 into a power bank and run it.
oh yeah,
Which I thought was the most obscure way of powering a camera.
but it works.
It's impressive.
Yeah, well,
Well,
that's-
I have a slight story like that. It's not to do with cameras, but it basically effed me because of my forgetfulness. This was a few years ago now, when I was doing archery.
Oh yeah.
And I had all my equipment to go do this archery. We were going out and we were going to do it at someone's private. They had a farm. He wanted to go do it basically.
Yeah.
And he had his own kit obviously, and I brought mine down, and I had forgotten my arrows. So basically, this entire time we had to share
It's a
this
pretty
bow and
essential
arrow
part.
that he had, because I just had no arrows.
Yeah, that is a
So I
pretty
completely
essential
ruined
part
myself
of
by
the
doing that.
experience.
I ruined a day.
Yeah, that is a pretty like important part, having arrows to shoot at the
Yeah,
target.
I mean, I could have found some sticks maybe. Go proper retro, make
That's-
some arrows.
All these stories are just human error at the end of the day. Really.
Yeah.
Apart from the camera shutter dropping, which was just annoying.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, did fix itself after a couple of days. I have no idea, and I still haven't sent the camera to Sony, and it's been 2 years. So
So
Obviously-
maybe it just got upset at you for some reason. and
obviously
died.
fixed itself over the time. I don't know.
Mm.
Very
I think-
strange.
I think the worst time, I think what pretty much gave me a panic attack actually. Well, not really a panic attack, but I got really, really over it. Was 2018 the Horsham car show?
Oh, yeah.
the Italia. It was really, I think it was 2018. It was really chucking it down, and I had literally maybe a week before bought a Rode video mic.
Oh yeah.
And I had the dead cat on it, and it was filming. And I don't remember how it happened, but it must have been pulled off by the wind or by me not noticing. But basically, I looked down, and suddenly the dead cat is no longer there. And I'm going, shit, this is really bad, because the mic's going to get destroyed by this rain, because it was really chucking it down at this point in time. I think the dead cat was the only thing that kept it from not breaking.
Yeah.
Because listening to it afterwards, when it did lose the dead cat, I was like, oh no, that's really, really bad. I don't know how I did it, but it managed to basically get to the other side of where the show was, and get itself lodged into a corner. I managed to find it. I was looking around for ages, but I was like, how did you get there?
Wind.
Like, how strong was the wind to get you from literally the other side, with tons of people, tons of cars in the way? I was really impressed, but it gave me a panic attack at the same time.
We've
Thinking I was going to
all-
break my new mic.
I think we've all had experience of shooting in like terrible weather, like filming in.
Oh,
absolute-
Locksfest.
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
events we covered.
Oh, that was
2019.
horrible.
It absolutely hammered it down.
Which I
But then
think
that
we did a good
evening
job
was
of
lovely.
hiding in the video. I think the video showed no rain at all.
No, we managed to. It was like parts of the day that were absolutely lovely, like the evening and about lunchtime-ish. The
Yeah.
rest of the day was just chucking it down.
Luckily, the organisers Ray did an amazing job and gave us like an area to dry our kit, etc., and keep it all.
Yeah, keep the kit dry. Yeah, because we didn't have a car back then.
Yeah, it was all.
So we relied on. Was it your dad, Dan?
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, but that's all changed now. But no, like I was on a uni shoot in the Isle of Wight just literally the week before lockdown, or the first lockdown hit, and we were shooting on an army base, and for 4 days, and 2 of the days it completely torrentially rained, but it sort of added to the film, to be honest. It was.
I mean, you casually just said shooting on an army base. Why were you shooting on an army base? What's the story?
So basically, the uni every year, first year students, which I was at the time, at the end of the year have to make a film as a group, everybody together working on one massive project, with all the actors acting in it, all the script writers writing the script, my course, which is the tech course, doing all the tech work, and then the production course doing all the other work. We'll have to work together to make one massive like short film. This film the script happened to be based around an army camp, which was sort of pushed into it because we had an army camp booked, so it might as well be about army.
Makes sense.
But yeah, we used a prop house, we got all the costumes, the uni booked this base. It was an amazing experience, and for the people who haven't had set experience, which is quite a lot on my course, I've been told it was a game changer because they actually learned like set etiquette and stuff. Luckily I've had experience in that before, but everybody else there was learning stuff as they went. It was a really good experience. I'd recommend it to anybody. But yeah, we were shooting on an army base. The weather was terrible, but that adds to an army film at the end of the day. More mud.
Yeah, a bit of depressing
mood.
Yeah.
It was
ambiance.
It was a weird story, but the film is yet to be released because of COVID and lockdown and that. As we came back, I think they just put us into a lockdown because it was a busy 2 weeks. Because me and Dan went up to Leicester to shoot What How Now. I came back, went to the Isle of Wight, shot the Isle of Wight film, and then came back on the ferry, and the country was in a lockdown. So yeah.
It was a very odd time because we were doing a lot of work, and then it just all stopped.
Yeah, it was a weird time. But yeah, no, I don't think we have film photography. Should we talk about that?
Yeah. Have you had any problems with your film photography? I was about to ask that.
I have.
Film photography.
Yeah, because you got into it recently. Have you encountered any problems with it yet?
So the only issue I've faced is when you take your camera out into the cold, there is a slight issue of condensation and fogging on your film.
That doesn't sound like a slight issue. That seems like a pretty major problem.
No, it was fine.
I did warn Dan about this, to be clear.
Yeah, you did warn me. So I loaded up the camera with some Fuji Superior 35mm. And we went out shooting. The first 10 photos on that roll, you can't see anything. It's completely fogged. So the roll of film did not acclimatise to the cold temperatures that we were shooting in.
It's not like a digital photo where you can just like dehaze it on Lightroom.
Yeah, no. I did butcher about 10 photos. But it's a really fun style of photography to get into. If you've been shooting digital, like I have, it's just different. I don't know why it is, but
it's because you focus. It's because you actually try and focus on the photo.
Because you've only got 36 photos and that's it. You can't muck up a shot, so you think a lot more about what you're actually taking a photo of.
And Dan proceeds to muck up 10 photos.
It's fine. I'm still learning. But if you get the chance to do, I think most A-level photography classes do a bit of film now.
I did it.
It will get you hooked, and you will become addicted if you're like me.
It depends. You have to have an interest. You have to.
Yeah, I remember back in the A-level class, they got us to do pinhole photography.
Did
you guys ever do that?
Yeah, I was one of the only people that could ever do it properly.
It was such a weird thing. Like,
should we explain this quickly? So pinhole photography is when you use a beer can. It's a traditional technique. You put a piece of film into a piece of unexposed whatever it is, film or whatever, into a beer can. You seal the beer can so it's completely light, doesn't have any light touching it, and then the only light in is a little hole which you uncover quickly and close.
Funny
back
enough,
up.
it's called a pinhole.
Yeah, and it exposes onto the paper, which is the film, which is in the beer can, and then you take it into a dark room and you develop it. Yeah, it's quite
a really
hard
simple
technique.
idea of doing photography.
Yeah.
But I didn't really know much about pinhole photography before that lesson. I knew it existed. I'd never really put any, thought into it before. And when the teacher was like, "Okay, here's some beer cans. I need you guys to cut the tops off and put a hole in it," I was like, "What the hell are we doing?" I thought this was a photography class. I was so confused. And I mean, it took a few. Once it finally made it, it took a few goes to actually like, oh, that's how you expose it correctly, because it was very, you had to be really quick or really slow with it depending on what sort of photo you wanted.
Yeah.
But once you finally got the knack of it down, I was like, okay, I made a photo. It's not that interesting looking. It's really wide. What am I meant to do with this now?
Yeah, because there's no lens, so it's inverting the image and making it stupidly wide. At the end of it,
If I remember
depends how big
correctly,
your
everything
hole
was in
is.
focus as well, so it was a little bit boring.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because
there's no aperture to close down. Is
Yeah.
there?
and you have to rely on sunset. So the sun. So it depends on the.
There was
time of
always some
day.
very unique things in that class that I always thought was like, why are we doing this? People don't do this nowadays, so what's the point of learning it?
It's because you have to learn the fundamentals and the traditional way of doing it, as well as the fact that it's an art-based course, so you have to do some art stuff. At the end of the day.
Yeah, I never liked the what are they called? Cyanotypes, they call them?
Oh yeah.
Cyanotypes. I never managed to get mine done.
It's like,
Which you
it's
shouldn't
like,
say on here,
Why am I
Dan.
putting this blue stuff in the sun with what was like these,
It
props?
was some leaves and
Leaves,
some glass
yeah.
and stuff.
I was like, why? How is this helping me in any way? You're just showing me that this liquid, or whatever it was, I don't really know what it was,
It's
you
a
painted onto this paper,
Yeah, it's a chemical that reacts with the sun.
changes to the sun.
Yeah.
It's not very impressive. I'm not learning much from this.
I believe it's to do with UV, but I'm not 100% sure.
Maybe if I paid attention to it, I might realise why we were doing it.
So it's to learn how the chemical reaction is changing the image. It's creating images other than using a camera, if that makes sense. So you're not using a camera. You're learning how to create an image without a camera or without digital or without film.
Yeah.
Basically, they don't trust you enough to hold a camera. So here's a piece of paper that we've painted in some bluing.
So you say that about being the whole trusted. That story I said before we started this, I'll repeat it for everyone. So someone in the photography class he had a camera. These were like, what are they? They were Canon 1300Ds, I think.
Yeah, 1300 Ds.
Cheapest Canon
And-
cameras you can buy.
Yeah, and he had the kit lens 18 to 55 on it, really basic. And this person wanted to take a photo of the plants in the pond outside, in the outside area in the school, whatever that place was called again. And basically the lens had just touched the water. I watched it happen. It was like barely a millimeter of water had touched this lens, and the camera basically just died. And given the fact we just gave a story about how we were in torrential rain and the cameras were doing, oh yeah, they're fine. I mean, the microphones aren't doing okay, but this camera just died and wouldn't turn on.
Sees water, dead.
And when they did it, they were like, they were panicking. I remember that much, because they suddenly thought they'd broken this camera and they couldn't afford to fix it or anything like that. And when the teachers found out, they were not happy at all. They were furious.
It makes sense because those cameras are kept in such a controlled environment. Like, why were they even near water in the first?
Why would you put a lens in the water?
Unless you've got one of those new probe lenses.
Oh
They're
yeah,
cool.
the ones that are water sealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, even then, why would you put a kit lens in the water? A kit
No, I
lens
would never
that
put a kit lens.
a lens that you don't even own. Why would you put it in water?
Yeah, it's all about learning what the camera can survive and what it can't. At the end of the day.
Yeah, so we have learned that you don't put a kit lens into water; it kills the camera.
You don't
But
load
to
a
be
film
fair,
camera.
It does come back to life
In the cold.
eventually.
Yeah. Most
Yeah.
cameras do. I left my old A7 out in the rain when we did a Scottish holiday. I took photos with it afterwards. All you could see was pink static, which meant the sensor was gone. Got it out last week. I now use it as a webcam. It's perfectly fine. They can survive. Just takes 3 years for them to get better.
This is your overly priced webcam.
My overly priced A7R webcam.
I mean, at least you'll be ready if you ever want to become a Twitch streamer.
Yep.
Just completely insulting everyone there by accident.
Dan has tried Twitch streaming before.
I've tried Twitch streaming. I do not have a PC powerful enough to do so. I've now found out. Fun fact.
I think my Twitch URL is really, really lucky. It's twitch.tv/Harry Shelton.
Oh, yeah.
I got
That is a
really,
lucky
I got
one to
really lucky with that URL. I made it a few years ago now.
Yeah, I've tried to. I've always done that. Now that I'm aware of like social media and stuff, I've every time a new platform comes out, even if it's not successful, I try and claim the username. Going back
Makes
to
sense.
the topic at the very start of this podcast, but yeah.
Now everything, my username pretty much for everything else nowadays, it's Harry Shelton because Harry Shelton's taken.
Yeah, that's the same
Unfortunately, it's
reason.
harryshelton@gmail.com is taken, so I had to make another one, which wasn't related to that. And I was really upset about that. I really wanted that email, but someone else took it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the same reason we use Ben Collins Media, just because it's clean identifiers as well. But I think that's the end of the podcast. I think we just hit 50
basically
minutes.
covered everything.
Yeah.
I hope you have enjoyed, people who are listening.
Us
We have
ramble on about stories.
we have no idea how successful this is going to be. We got bored, basically, is the whole reason this is starting. We hope to do more, that's for sure. I would let you know of a schedule, but I don't think we have one yet.
No, we were thinking, what, one a week?
Yeah, probably one a
Yeah,
week.
something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should put a poll up on the Instagram asking people what they
Oh yeah, on that
to
point,
this topic.
please follow us on the Instagram, which currently has like 6 followers.
It's doing
all of
good,
us,
lads.
all of it is basically us.
So the Instagram is everything literally podcast, all just one word. You can probably find it on one of our Instagram pages. So that's It's Harry Shelton, or at Ben Collins Media, or at PXYRT. But yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
I'll put some
Bye.
outro music on this, so sound cool. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.